I've never been there. But so we'll see what happens with that. I've never heard of this product, and we'll see where it kind of flies. But I imagine it has healing properties or some nonsense like that.
You can see really well.
You can
Yeah,
see.
well-
and you don't throw up because that's the thing, is that it's an anonymity.
You ever been to Amsterdam, Tom?
Yeah, I have.
Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. I was gonna. that was years ago. We did like a football tournament. It was
Yeah.
like we did 12 aside. It's supposed to be like normally 11 aside, but it was with like a load of old men I used to play football with on a Monday night.
Yeah.
We went over there and played a team of lumberjacks from Holland, and we had like a few days out on the town. There's
No
some
kidding.
pretty wild stories from that. But
Oh,
they're
yeah,
not gonna
I can
make
only
it.
imagine.
Yeah.
It's all PG stories. I'm sure would never.
Oh,
you can
naturally.
never play there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Let me just say that, like, you know, at those like studious times maintaining fluency in Italy, there were usually 2 weeks at the end that didn't show that were dedicated to just being in Amsterdam for 2 weeks.
Right. And it doesn't make you a better fighter, that hemp stuff, but it does make you more zen. So it's maybe just done something.
Nah,
Gallon of it.
a lifetime ago, but no more. No more
Right.
lifetime ago. Yeah, when I was young, like 18 or something like that, I smoked a bunch of weed. It was all dirt weed you grew in the backyard or out in the woods. And it's not like, I guess, what you can get today and all this, you know, engineered stuff. Mine was in a cornfield, you know, and it would kill you for smoking it. Yeah, so, but I didn't like it. I was fighting, so it was tough I had to make a decision. So I'm in Trenton, and I'm boxing guys much bigger and badder than me, just trying to learn. And it's a little tough, you know, when you have smoke in your lungs and a guy's beating your brains out. Did I want to be high more, or did I want to fight more? And at the time, I wanted to fight more, so I gave this stuff up. So it just wasn't possible to do both at the same time. It was counterintuitive, I think is the word. So, but anyway,
Yeah, my experiences was it never brought the best out of me. You know.
no.
So some people it makes you more sociable and
Right.
more blah blah blah. You
Right.
know, it just put me into my shell really, which is not the best.
Would you sleep? Giggle, go to sleep.
No.
Were you the
The
paranoid guy in the
exact
corner?
opposite.
Oh, you got crazy?
Were you the paranoid guy in the corner?
Like you know, like where you close your eyes and like the room's spinning around
Yeah.
you.
You were the paranoid guy in the corner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
look out the window. Oh, look, still nobody's out there.
Actually, the last time I'll give you a funny one because
Yeah.
it's the last time we did any of that, right? So we were in. Me and Doc Watson did this trip down to Romania because his wife's Romanian. So we went down and they've got a farm down there. And the last night, her brothers, built a big bonfire.
Yeah.
And we like drank a load of beers. Then we ran out of beers. We drank all this homemade wine that they had. And then Watson had like a bit of weed, and smoked a tiny bit of that. Now I
That's the
hardly
wrong order
touched
to
it.
do that.
It was
by the way.
like, you know, it was the right level for me. And then with him, he ended up going upstairs, and he was sick in his suitcase, and then we had to travel home the next day. So he spent the morning clearing out his suitcase
That's
ready to go
so
home.
funny.
Anyway, good times.
Good times. I'm sure he's glad you shared this, you know, throughout the world. So everyone knows that he vomited in his own. I don't think. So when we started the show a couple months ago, let's got to roll here. And we didn't know where it was going to go. I want to kind of review how it started and where we're at today. You know, you happy with it? So here's I had a show a number of years ago on Hamilton Radio. I've had a couple co-hosts, and anyway, the show went away for whatever reason. It was doing real well, had a lot of good guests. I enjoyed doing the show. I did a podcast for about a week, which I really wasn't that into. But then I had run into Gene, who is the owner of Hamilton Radio and the engineer and the brainchild behind this operation. And we kind of had a talk, and then I said, you know, I would kind of like to do this show again. And I was actually thinking about this prior to that, you know, just in the many random thoughts I have throughout the day. And I said, and I actually thought, you know, this is a good idea. And believe it or not, I actually thought that Tom McGrath would be a good co-host. I thought, yeah.
You're definitely on the head.
Right. And this is without being, no mind-altering drugs. And not after 10 pints or something, completely sober mind. I said, I bet this would be good. So then Gene and I said, yes, I definitely want to do it. Let me kind of wrap up a few things and kind of put it where I need it to be. And then did I email you, Tom? Did I Facebook you? I forget how I did, but then
I think it was Tinder.
It was Tinder. What's the other one?
Grinder.
Grinder.
I can't remember.
I can't remember.
You got in touch with me.
I got in touch with
Tinder
you
or
overseas. I reached out and touched you, and I said, Tom, and I said, did you want to? I think I just played. Did you want to do a radio show with me? Is that what I asked? Did you remember that?
Yeah. And like I said on the show the other week, in my head, everything was saying no, say no, say no. But I've trained myself. Whenever you're feeling to say no, say yes, and actually, it's been a great thing for me.
Right. So
I was very glad you asked.
So right, and it's as we touched on a couple of weeks ago with Hawk, when Hawk originally said, "Hey Jim, did you think about doing DVDs?" You know, and you have to step outside yourself and go, "Am I good enough? Can I really do this? Do I really want this?" You know, because the spotlight's on you, and the whole world, well, at least in our mind, the whole world will know that you're kind of screwing up or whatever. So I don't remember. Did you say yes right away, or did you have, or did you leave it and kind of get back to me? I don't recall, to be brutally honest.
I mean, I do like to play hard to get.
Yeah, sure you do.
I don't know. I might have said like, "Let me sleep on it." I don't know, but I think
you're a little coy.
I think I just said yes. You know,
Yeah.
I'm glad I did.
Yeah, right. And it's been fun.
It's been great. It's been great. And you know what? There's people like really showing an interest in it now. Like Dieter would like to be on the show more regularly.
Sure.
You know, Doc Watson would like to be on more regularly. Yeah. And things just naturally grow. It's like that, you know, book it and they'll come, or whatever they say. Right. What's that famous film with Kevin Costner where he's like
Field of
Dreams, baseball stadium in the that's a great film.
Yeah. So so and it turns out like we had no real agenda. Oh, let me go back. And so how the Alana ended up on the show is she
you didn't ask.
She was training with me, and I guess in a conversation at the end of it, something like that, I said, "Hey, I'm going to do a radio show now." I don't remember having a conversation prior to that, and then I said, "Look, you're certainly more than welcome to come and hang out." And then,
I said, "Oh yeah, I'll come watch." You know.
Then I just shoved her on there.
Yeah.
And and I get that she doesn't have the martial arts or she doesn't know all the people that we know. But I think it adds a great dynamic to,
having someone with a brain on the show.
I've been studying very hard. I have Word documents, things like pugilism 101.
She's actually more prepared for the show than me. But
but unlike us, Alana's got a face for TV. We've got a face for radio. So
we
that's
do.
Another.
Yeah, she's very attractive.
Brings the glamour.
That's right.
Glamour in the brain.
That's right. So then we're here, and then all of a sudden it's kind of taken on a little bit of a life of its own. It's gotten interest. We've had a bunch of our friends on it. There's a bunch of people that we're going to get to interview next year to get bigger and badder. We'll spend more time doing that because I didn't know really where it was going to go after the first couple months. But I enjoyed it, and every time I listen to the show, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the interviews. People are engaging, and it's interesting. And I believe now Alana had spoken to one person, and she had passed an email on.
Yeah, a friend of mine, his name is Manny. He was a boxer for a while, and he always has an interest in it. We always talk. I remember he was saying, "Oh, part of me just wishes that Conor McGregor would just win, because that Floyd Mayweather, So we'll have conversations. He's really good with the dog. So, In any case, I gave him the links, and he at first he was like, "Well, it's very informative about boxing, and he was really nice because he's a really nice guy." And I said, "Oh, thank you," and so I gave him some more links as things got better and better, I think. And he came back with substantive emails like, "Oh man, okay, so I have my top 3, but there's a 4th, thing that I liked best about that one, and you guys are fun to listen to." Yeah.
I was really happy about it. We've had like a few little bits of fan mail here and there, I don't know if it's worth reading out the whole thing or anything. Probably not, but it's great. And if anyone wants to send anything in, ideally positive, but if you've got some constructive criticism, throw it out there. I think I might create like a Facebook thing as well, so like people can, we can set up the odd poll or ask a question, get some questions from the listeners, make it a bit more interactive.
Back on the old show, I would take phone calls, and and we're not live right now, so it'd be more difficult to do that. when I was live on Saturday night at 9 o'clock, we would take phone calls depending on the guests. Of course, there'd be people who knew him who would call up, and often it was hard to understand them, and their questions were completely irrelevant and just and they started to annoy me. I forget who we had on the show. Maybe it was Dan Severn or something like that. And some guy called up rattling all kinds of shit about these worldwide conspiracy theories, It was just nonsensical. And so I just said, boom. And there would be times, I kid you not, that phone was lit up. It was just call after call after call. And
Did you get any funny prank calls, like, IP freely or something like that?
They just weren't that creative. They were I wish they were that creative. Like, but
that would be amusing.
Right. But they just weren't. So I just kind of shied away from it. And I thought the interview with the person that we were interviewing should be more interesting. What I find interesting about our show, and like I said, it's kind of organic. We didn't really prepare for it, so to speak. Our very first show on the air was, how the hell do we want to do the show? Which I basically.
And the one key theme was like comparing England to America,
right?
Which I don't know how interesting that is for the viewers, but it was
funny. It was funny. And then when we're interviewing people, it's more than just about their kung fu or whatever. It's just kind of about them and what's going on and some of our old war stories and whatever. And I found it entertaining. So I'm pretty happy with where it's going on a personal. And you guys feel the same way, or?
You go first.
Go on, Alana. Yeah, ladies
I just
first.
said you go.
Yeah, well, no, you go first.
No. He was a gentleman. I can't deny that. All right, so I try to have at least 1.5 glasses of probably something something French in the wine side of things before I listen to it, because I'm like, no, that date was absolutely about myself. I'm like, no, that wasn't about Milton at all. That's incorrect. But I really enjoy listening to you guys. So, I mean, I cringe inwardly at myself, which you wouldn't know because I talk on and on and on. I just have difficulty shutting up.
You are the master of the long question.
I'm loquacious.
What?
but yeah, no, definitely very happy. How about you, Tom? See, that was a fast question.
So, I mean, for me, I'm very happy where it's going. I like whatever I do to sort of be, I guess, the best it can be, and that doesn't necessarily mean world domination, but I try to do a bit of preparation. I've tried to get good guests on the show, and I think there's things we can do to make this bigger and better. And I think the more people, the more you make it available, the new platforms that it's going on, and you'll tend to find people will join it and stick with it. I think because it's good.
It is, yeah. That's been the feedback that I've got. So I mean, are you surprised at the positive feedback? I haven't gotten any negative feedback. If I have, no one has said anything to me, and I really probably don't.
Yeah.
And
funny that.
Funny. Why would you tell Jim that his show sucks?
Yeah. I'm sure that'll come as we grow. There's always the old internet.
There's always the haters.
People that sit behind their computer and say, "You guys know nothing about fighting," and they're like,
right,
300 pounds.
And at some level, you just can't really give a shit. So
No, I have to say, actually, it's really for me. I had this disconnect between actually learning and reading assigned reading lists and the Tao, the Jeet Kune Do, all that kind of stuff, and working training as much as I could possibly find the time to train, which is never enough.
Never enough.
But there was always a disconnect.
What training do you do, Alana? Sorry to interrupt. What training do you do with Jim?
Well,
I'm interested.
Well, the first time I went in, he gave me like the kind of like the overall these jump squats and thrusts and whatever. Okay, and that was nice. But I knew that he was holding back. Like I was like, look, I really wanted to do Muay Thai. I wanted to do something striking with Muay Thai, because I had found Taekwondo to be a little clinical for me. And I wanted something that would be a little all encompassing. And I wanted Jeet Kune Do actually, but I was like, but you can't find that. So, and then you can't find Muay Thai either, in fact. So I finally, like on the third session with Jim, I said, Jim, I know you can do this. Could you teach me? Just teach me whatever. And so, and then you can see it over my calendar when I'm keeping track, we train like twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. It's like a drug. And then, suddenly it's like, okay, now I'm going to slip into the classes too. And, do that for 4 hours. And it just kind of blends in like that. So just
And
everything.
had you done any training before?
No, I hadn't. I always wanted to. It's kind of like a lot like Lack Loy. You know how he said just suddenly, like, he was just like, I need to do this. Well, I'd known I needed to do it for some reason for several years, and it's not because I watched all of these, you know, movies or anything like that. I'd seen The Crow, but it was because
That's a cool film.
you know, I loved it, yeah, and the soundtrack's good too. But you know, I really wanted it, and I looked through systematically martial arts that were available for training centers, and you know, it's hard to find somebody, you know, who actually knows what they're doing. You know, that's not like a cardio like kickbox booty thing, which is really not. I'm like, no, like I want something real, and so you can't get much more real than gym.
Yeah, definitely. My one regret of that Christmas party we had for JKD London the other day was that there's this guy, a guy in our group who teaches one of these box fit classes. And he's like a white belt sort of thing. He's not got any qualifications to my mind to do that. And anyway, I kind of called it when I was drunk. I called him out, and I felt it was the one thing where I like the next day I was like, oh, I wish I hadn't said that. And he was just saying, look, it's just fitness. But I'm like, I don't know. It's something I care about so much, and it's like you some of those people will think because you taught them jab, cross, hook, or something like that, that they actually might stand a chance in a street fight. No, you will not. And I want him to you know.
So you're sitting there. This is great. So you're sitting there with a couple of pints in you, whatever else, and you go, yeah, God. And it was irking you. It's like I was talking. I need to say something to this guy. And then did you say right to his face? You go, listen, what you do?
It's never like that. What you're saying is like I have calculated thoughts about doing that thing. It's like, you know, like when you watch The Simpsons and Homer's like, shall I say this? And then he realizes he's already said it.
Yes.
I'm that guy.
Don't say that. Don't say
it just flies out.
Betrays me. Yeah. My head's like saying, don't say this, don't say this. And then my mouth just comes out with it. That's why I should be good for a chat show.
Did Party want to, Did Party you want him to be like, let's go outside, you know?
Let's go outside.
Let's go outside. Show me. Take off your gloves. Let's do this.
I'll tell you my box kick or whatever they're called.
I mean, whatever. You know.
I just felt bad about it. Next, I can't even remember what he said back, aside from him saying, "Look, it's just fitness."
Right.
No, that's so upsetting. I mean, I just have to say, because for me, like, everyone assumes it's funny because they're like, there are two responses. One is, well, three. One is, oh, that's good for fitness, and I'm like, yeah, but I can do fitness other ways. Like, I don't need.
You could do CrossFit or something like that.
Whatever, you know, anything. And then second, oh, it's good for self-defense. It's like, well, I don't even think of it in terms of defensive or offensive. I think of it as skill, art, strategy. That's what that's the thing. And then the third is, oh, it's good to get anger out. I was like, if I'm angry when I'm sparring, I'm not at my best at all. Like, you know, they just don't get it. But they need to have one of those three. But
what they do with a lot of women in general, and a lot of you know, think, oh, that's right, to get rid of your stress and stuff, thinking that she's not capable of really learning it. And women are certainly, and I've had several very good women fighters who are badasses who really picked it up and delved into it, and it had nothing to do with fitness or self-defense. They just kind of got into it. Does LAC have? Do you guys have a lot of women in LAC's class?
So we've probably got about 5, 6, maybe 7 at the moment, which is the most it's ever been. But the class sizes are the biggest they've ever been as well. You know, we'll regularly get like 35 people there.
That's good.
A few of those girls have been with us for years on end. What I tend to find is the girls are very good at picking up the technique, and the aggression side that they'll struggle with. Whether the guys will like plow in with the aggression, and you'll be like 2 years later, you'll be like, guys, you're just still doing this with like low quality technique, you know. And again, I keep coming back to this thing. You know, you've got the martial and the art side, but it's, you know, I can't give you like a black belt if you don't know the art and have any skill. And equally, if you haven't got the martial warlike brain to go and like be aggressive, I can't give you a black belt either. But you got to merge those two things together.
Right. There's a healthy dance between the two.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the big kind of realizations, especially in doing the show, is that, and this probably doesn't come out, but I'm always kind of amazed by the continuity between, you know, like visual artists, you know, right. modern artists, and martial artists.
Yeah.
And musicians, authors, there's a continuity in all of those arts. And I think that oftentimes people kind of slot it into like UFC or something like that and just want to put it there. But there's a lot more to it. And that's kind of
nothing beats training, but actually all these conversations, reps and training, rep it out. But when you're surrounded by martial arts and you martial artists and really top end ones like the likes of Hot Heim, Jason Cruz, people Jim McCann, people who live in for martial arts and know their shit, it's like that you will pick up a load of stuff from just having these conversations.
Yeah.
That, you're getting a good apprenticeship here, Alana.
I know I am.
Well, we
extra homework.
Right. Well, until she was sick and she's not 100% yet. But we would spar a lot, pretty much a couple times a week, whether it be MMA, boxing, kickboxing, full contact sparring, and she's it could be dangerous, and coming at me. So this one time we're fighting, I don't know, I shot in, picked her up, took her to the ground, right? And whatever, we were going fighting different positions. I have Alana in my guard, right? She sits up. I swear to God.
No. Oh, no. Is this the vault thing that you're going to bring up?
No. She sits up, and her right arm comes up, and like this, red eyes come out. A fist comes flying straight down, right in the balls.
I didn't mean to do that, no.
Karate chop to the balls. I'm like, oh!
It wasn't a karate chop. It was an elbow, and I didn't intend to do the balls. It was more of like I was going to try to do that thing with the elbows and the inner thighs.
It doesn't matter.
No, because I'm so green on the ground, and then like three things got all put together, and then it went all in the wrong place. And I was like, oh my God.
It works. That's
so he took that out of the vault. That was in the vault, and now it's come out.
Yeah.
Brought it right out.
I'm like,
Thank you.
Lesson over for today. Very good. Oh man, I was like, okay.
Thanks.
And then we're actually flying knees and elbows. Oh God, it's like, all right, great, googly moogly.
Yeah, you see, you never tell the good ones, like how I pulled off that flying elbow, that spinning, know.
Well,
yeah, no. You want to talk about the ball?
But anyway,
Go on.
That's funny. But anyways, but hey, so next year, for next year, for any projects or anything that you have going on. Is there something that you're working on for next year, Tom?
I thought for part of this show, so that we kind of do a bit of a review of this year and look at next year. And it's you get those awful TV shows around this time of year,
right?
Like
but you end up watching them, right? The year in review.
Yeah, they roll out a load of like Z-list celebrities, going, "Oh yeah, this was funny and this was shit." But I thought that was vaguely worth doing. But I was going to talk. When it comes to like setting goals and resolutions, which everyone kind of does this time of year, which is something I'm a big believer in.
You are.
There's this guy like Brian Tracy who's written a book on goals. He's like big in the personal development role and he says how goals are like sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And he's done some research and they said how loads of people like when they set goals, they outperform people who don't set goals.
Right.
And then those who write down goals outperform those that don't write anything down, sort of thing. So the more just writing these things down and having them in front of you often means that they'll sort of happen and come to life. And another guy that I work with, he says you should set them in the areas of health, wealth, love, and happiness. And then he has this sort of Christmas tree formation where you kind of have post-it notes so you have something you're going to do this week. Then you have like 3 things you're going to do over the next month, 2 things you're going to do in the next 3 to 6 months, and then 1 thing that you're going to achieve by the end of the year, which is hopefully something really big. So that's something I tried to do, and I've got that kind of up in my kitchen at home.
Yeah.
I haven't actually got sort of written down.
Haven't accomplished shit, but I wrote it down. It's on my fridge.
But it's a good process and it's worth doing. But I mean, the stuff I've got in my mind for next year. One is get my black belt in the rapid harness.
Sure. And that's going to be in the summer when you go to the Philippines?
That's right. Yeah. I need to talk to Andy Jansen and sort of like I think I owe him some money for flights and that kind of thing. But that's happening. Get this radio show sort of as big as we can get it.
Right.
A friend of mine's like sort of working on a new cryptocurrency, which is sort of to aid the construction industry, and he's asked me to get involved in that, and that's quite exciting.
Nice.
some property stuff. So it's a friend and I we've refurbished or purchased some properties and rent out. We want to keep kind of growing that stuff. And then probably the number one, because I'm not getting any younger, is get a wife.
You should scratch that right now.
Or 3 girlfriends.
Yeah, to be fair, that's the least likely one to happen.
Right.
Quite big.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. You guys,
Say
what about you
you're
guys?
beyond formalities like that, and that your love goes deeper. That you don't need that legalization. That's antiquated, and it cheapens everything. That's good. Just go with that. It's cheaper.
Okay.
Cheaper.
Well, let's just call it a girlfriend then.
Okay.
That's just gotta go.
All right. Wait. I'm just realizing that Tom, you and I, we talked a bit about the relationship, but Jim, you haven't said much.
No.
Yeah, you're quite quiet this week.
Yeah,
I've been accused of that over the last few weeks.
I was letting you roll. You guys need to talk. I can't hold this ship up for everyone.
Well, it's not exactly like we have buckets of water coming in. Now we're just waiting. Now we're just looking at the captain. The air is going by. There's tumbleweeds. Right.
I'm just enjoying the view.
Do you set goals, Jim? I mean, you achieve a lot. That's for sure.
I achieve twice that goal. I used to write all that shit down and make a big list, and it was very in depth. And I would plan to do the whole thing, and just like my preparation for the show, I never look at them again. So I'd write them down and forget them.
That's where you'd benefit from this post-it note thing, because the idea is not to have too many.
Yeah. So no, I do. In my mind, it was interesting. I had this conversation. It's funny you bring this up the other day about. Going to work out. We mentioned with Jason last week, like when I go to the gym, do I have a goal of what I want to do? And the answer is no. I know that's a small thing, but this goes to the rest of my life for how I live it now and how I find what works for me. And so I go to the gym. I have no idea what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something. I might kill it. I might lift weights. I might just box. I might spar. I might do a ridiculous amount of rounds. I might do a ton of burpees. I might run back and forth. I don't know. But I know at the end of the day, I'll get something done. More than usual, that's just how I go. I just plow forward and go. There is purpose behind it. I don't have to think about it so much. It just seems to appear for me, just like when I teach or do the radio show. It's either there or it's not. And so far, it's been there. So I was never that great of organizing things in that aspect. In the past, pardon me, I write down what my workouts were, what my diet was going to be. And it turned out to be a colossal waste of my time, because I would just not do it. I often exceed and do better on my own. This is what works for me, not for everyone else. I hear what they say, but for me, I just don't like doing it. I like just shooting from the hip, so to speak, and that's where I find my success, whether I'm teaching a seminar, doing the radio show, working out, or whatever. Don't get me wrong. There's a plan in my brain. In my little brain, there is a plan, but it's not so strict that I can't just go and make it happen. So that's probably not what you wanted to hear about.
So does that mean you're not going to set a New Year's resolution?
Never.
Or if you were pushed to do one, what would it be?
There's not. Well, see, the problem with picking that date, whatever that date is, January 1st, right? Is why am I waiting till January 1st? Why don't I start today on December 7th? Why do I have to wait these magical 3 days to make that shit happen? It's really about a decision that happens in a second. It took me a lot of years of my life to. Oh, well, when I'm ready, I'll tell you, people come to the gym and I go, well, when I lose weight, when I get in shape, I'll come, I'll join. Nah, look, dude, that day is never going to happen. The time to do it is right now. There's a woman I learned about her named Mel Robbins. She wrote a book called The 5-Second Rule. And she counts down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just make that decision. That she has all the science behind it. Essentially what she's saying is, if it takes you longer than 5 seconds to make that decision, I'm paraphrasing and making it much simpler, is that you will talk yourself out of that decision. Like you're either going to, what?
I'm quite glad you said that, because I was looking at reading her book, The 5-Second Rule, but I don't have to read it, because you just summed it up.
Well, that's essentially what it is. It's not, but it's the science, or so to speak, the thought process of how to go out and make a decision. Many things I've done, it was always holding back and not making that decision when I originally left the corporate world to make this happen. I just had to make that decision. I did it when I released my old property to move to the big 10,000 square foot facility. There was a lot of hurdles, a lot of things in my way, but I had to just go it. Sometimes you just need to attack. You need to go forward nonstop and take no prisoners. And that's how it now how I approach life. Because for years and years I didn't. I would let things get in my way, but not anymore. And I wish I would have had this mindset when I was 20 years old. Interestingly enough, I knew about this when I was like 18 or 19 or 20. I started reading all these self-help books and all these stuff from Tony Robbins to Wayne Dyer to Deepak Chopra to Brian Tracy, you name it, Zig Ziglar. I've read every single one of their books. And here's the thing, I did nothing about it. I knew a ton of shit, but did nothing about it. So now I might not know a whole lot of shit, but I do a lot. I just go and I do around this. I just go ahead and do it. I'll figure out how to make it work. You know, I was hiring these web guys to do my website. Every one of these motherfuckers promises you the world, over promises is under delivers. You know, I did. I said, shit, I'll teach myself how to build the website, how to do the HTML, do all that stuff. I figured it out. This is coming from a guy who was, we didn't call them, back in the day they called them retard classes. You don't call them that anymore. But learning disabled and stuff like that.
I was in the retard class for French and maths, and
I was in it for woodshop. And so I eventually taught myself how to do this stuff. I figured a way to make it work for me because no one else was going to do it for me. So, and then, you know, there were some other things in it, but that's kind of how I do it. So I'm not opposed to making goals. You want to have a goal, like to lose 10 pounds or whatever, you know, but you just got to go out and do it. One of the things people do is they're always getting ready to get ready. You ever hear that expression? When I do this, when I get this, let me read I want to read this book first. And then after the football season's over, I'll do this. You know, the time is right now. Get down and do a push-up. There were people who come to my gym and they'll say, can you write me a workout? Because outside of being here with you once a week, I want to do some other things. So when I say, okay, here's your workout. Excuse me. I want you to do 5 burpees. I want you to do 10 push-ups. I want you to do 15 mountain climbers. I want you to do 20 squats, and I want you to do 25 sit-ups. That's all I want you to do. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 3 workouts.
And they don't do it.
Bingo. Yeah. So then the following week comes back. Hey, Tom, did you do your workout? No. I said, well, I'm glad I didn't waste all my time writing this big workout. Right. So it's really the idea of just, you know, doing it, you know, taking that 5 minutes, which all that workout would take you is 5 minutes to do it. But people don't do it. They can't wait. I don't have the time. You don't have how do you not have that time? Of course you have the time. It's just not a priority. There was a guy who made a speech, Eric Thomas, who's he is a motivator, motivational speaker. Thank you. From Detroit, I believe he is from. He's excellent, and he's got a couple of books out which I've read. But he tells a story in one of his things, and I've heard a couple of people say it, but here's where I learned the story. And he says to this woman, it was about procrastination and getting things done. He says to her, you know, if I gave you $1 million tomorrow, what time could you be here tomorrow? And but I want to give you $1 million tomorrow. Could you be here at 4 a.m.? Yep. She goes, I'll get there at 3:45. And he goes, well, there you go. He goes, you just proved there's no such thing as procrastination. It's about priorities in your life. Because if it's a priority of getting to work on time or getting here on time or doing this, that's all it is. So it has nothing to do with the procrastination stuff. But anyway, wow, how the fuck did we go to that?
No, that was great.
Well done, Tom.
Well done.
The thing is, our listeners
are you sorry I started to talk
for free, which I think this should cost like
what's that?
At least $100.
You know what you're saying is insightful. It's you know, you could be one of those motivational speakers one day. You know.
Who's this?
You.
Oh, when I grow up.
I was saying our listeners are getting this for free.
Yeah,
and you know, this is priceless education. People spend hundreds of dollars for what you've just run through.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, seminars.
I've read all the books.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Yes, but you've made them your own, and you're able to articulate that in an economical way that's also very clear.
Right.
You know, and.
But you know, it like with the goal, it does just boil down to a few simple things and those simple decisions. And at the end of the day, the problem is getting to that part where you can make that decision and make that thing happen. And often that's only in our own brain. And I've used this term with people in the past. Is when you are in your own head, you are behind enemy lines. So you're in your own thought processes and you're talking to yourself about why things aren't going to work. I don't accept that for myself any longer. On any level. I might fail, but I am going down swinging. You know, that's how I'm approaching life. Look, I'm at halftime now. You know, the game. So there is no time for me to fuck around. You know, that's how I'm approaching it. You know, which is very powerful on many things. I heard Wayne Dyer say once, I am free of the good opinion of other people. Meaning, I don't give a fuck what you have to say about me. It doesn't determine me. It doesn't make my future. It doesn't identify me. It has nothing to do with me. I'm free of it. You're free. I don't get mad about what you think of me. I just simply don't give a fuck. But it took a while to not give a fuck. You know, it took a long time. I was actually, ironically, I picked up a book on Buddhism this weekend, and I was reading the book on Buddhism, and it was
that Zen score up.
The Zen,
I know, or down, so to speak.
Right,
you know, absolute Zen.
Right. But so, and a lot of what I've been sort of practicing on my own is very Buddhist-like. I'm not a Buddhist by any stretch of imagination, but a lot of the practices and stuff, and I was like, wow, it's kind of fascinating. And then I went on, watched a bunch of stuff on it, and I just thought it rather enlightening for myself about not being attached. How I approach martial arts, by the way, is not being attached, being open to everything and attached to nothing. It allows me to excel at a greater rate. See what connects us versus what we do this in Kung Fu and we do this in, you know, Wing Chun. Who cares? I want to see why it works. So that's how I approach it. It just makes things a lot easier for me. And with that being said, you can still struggle with that. What people can say and do to you can still piss you off, and you want to crush them like a grape. But I'm working on. I'm working. That's why I'm only almost Zen. I'm not quite Zen. You know.
Okay. So moving on, Alana. We've heard quite a monologue there from Mr. McCann.
Well, you told me.
Will you be setting any resolutions? Do you set goals?
No, I was just. I know you do, because you seem very keen that Jim doesn't. I don't either, because I make a resolution, and unlike Jim, I write, but I write like obsessively. I'll be in the car and I'm like, where is my car pen? And I have multiple notebooks. In fact, I'm sitting here with 4 of them right now.
She is.
Yeah. So
she's taking notes all show. I'm like, what? Why is she taking
sometimes
notes?
Sometimes it's like. Sometimes, well, no, I'm not taking dictation. Sometimes, like, you know, they're obliquely related to some other project that I want to work on, that somebody like, that you said perhaps just sparked in me. So you know, I write obsessively, and so I'm constantly kind of evaluating and reevaluating like where I am. Like at the end of the day, I have to I have a midday thing where I'm like, okay, so what's happened, and then like, do I need to course correct? Because you know, unlike,
all right, name me one thing you want to achieve this year.
All right, then. So I don't do resolutions. I do them constantly because, you know, they're always
one thing you want to achieve this year.
I want to find out how to make Jim less condescending. No, wait, no, that was supposed to be in my head.
Good luck.
No, there's a book project that I've been putting off, just not because of the collaborator with the Miami artist about duality, by the way. And like intention versus accident, stuff like that, where we would collaborate, and we're gonna start that back up again. So I've been the lodestone on that in a bad way. So that's the thing. And I also want to get an S, because I need an S emblem, because my S emblem on my car is eroding. And that's very worrisome to me. So those two things. Yeah.
We'll hold you to account and check that you've done that by the end of the year.
Yes, please. The book, the emblem thing, that could go on forever. So.
Right.
How about you?
Oh no, I gave you my little list. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, but you have
let's go with the black belt just to. Yeah.
Okay. I know you the tree list, but okay, fine.
Yeah.
Fine. Swim the English Channel?
Right.
No.
Right. So look, we even talk about Kung Fu today, martial arts. What I want to do is I'd like to get Andy Watts back on the show in a couple weeks. Right? Yeah. Maybe two things. Here's what I would like to do: a show next week. Did we book Mike Gillette for next week, or is that the week after?
So Mike Gillette will be on the show on the 10th of January, and he talks a lot about sort of high performance in sports. Right. So that'd be a great show. And I'm trying to get Tim Tackett on, but the rest of our diaries are free at the moment.
All right, because I might bring in my co-promoter next week to talk about the fight for temporarily, like a little segment, 15 minutes. It's not, sure. You know, just to kind of promote who he knows and who might be at this event. But I'd like to kind of do a show in the next week or two if we could. If we could get Andy on it, and if you want to bring in someone else, I can bring in someone. So we talk about the year in review for boxing, MMA, combat sports. Just kind of review the year, what 218 is going to bring. So unless do you have someone for MMA that you want to bring in? I know Andy's the boxing guy.
I don't have an MMA expert. I mean, I've been reading up on everything or kind of compiling my notes on what happened this year, really. I think I could have a half interesting conversation, that's for sure. But if we need an expert, I think you'll find someone over there.
I got someone we can do it. And then do you think Doc could make it next week?
Yeah, okay, I'll get in touch. I think he's in Thailand at the moment or something like that. He's having a baby soon, so yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, congratulations. So then another part of the year in review stuff, when we talk about all the things we've accomplished or that we want to accomplish, just like all these ridiculous shows on TV, is that what are you grateful for, Tom?
So I looked at your notes, and the two things I think that leap out at me. One was, as you know, in May I came and visited America. I stayed with my friend Billy in New York, then I came and visited you. Then I went over to California, stayed with Dennis Blue, and then I joined Dieter, and we went to John Potenza's place, did some catch wrestling. But I think that was a trip that highlighted how lucky I am to have many friends. You know, a trip to the States costs a lot of money, and I was able to sort of stay rent-free at several people's houses and really get treated like a king, really. I'm very grateful for the friends that I've got in my life. And then the other one I've written down, and my uncle passed away last week, which makes it slightly more poignant. But, you know, the health of myself and loved ones, you know.
Right, sure.
You know, my parents aren't that young, but they both always stayed in great shape, and they walk a lot and they eat healthily and that kind of thing. So, and I've got no major ailments. Always knocks and bruises, as you know. But
comes with the territory.
Yeah. What about you guys?
How about Alana?
How about Jim?
What?
How about Jim?
How about me? You're passing the football to me. Yeah. What am I grateful for?
Well, there's so many things I can't say.
That's a good question. Probably I'm an ungrateful motherfucker. So no, you gotta be grateful for that. Look, I am glad that that I'm here and I'm able to do these wonderful things and meet all these wonderful people. I'm truly blessed, and sometimes we forget about this. I remember, look, a couple years ago, I've done over 300 seminars in like 10 years, 12 years. I was really busy doing all over the place. I had to tone that back, but I remember what an arrogant asshole we can be is I forget where I am. I mean, flying somewhere. And I remember kind of complaining it to myself in my head briefly and going, can you believe this? This plane's going to be late. And I'm being flown to Italy on someone else's dime to hang out with all kinds of friends, or they're going to, you know, there's like not even 1% of the world's population gets to do what I get to do. And I remember being ungrateful at that moment, having to step back and go, geez, sometimes you really gotta check yourself at the door and be thankful for that. Look, you have your health, right? You have your family and your friends and people who care for you. And I have to sit back mindfully sometimes think about that, because it is very easy for me to step away from that and not be grateful. And what if you start out your day being grateful and thankful for the things that you've been blessed with, the rest of the day is a piece of cake. But you know, but anyway, I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for Gene. Thankful for the show, my family and friends, and really a blessed guy. And in many ways, you know, despite the world's issues on our shoulders, for whatever they might be for us individually, it certainly can be all handled. You know, it's how we approach life. You know, and it does start with being grateful. Wasn't that beautiful, Tom?
I 100% agree. And they say a lot, you know, when you feel like depressed and you feel about like, you know, you feel down about what you haven't got, is to be the number one remedy for that is to remember what you have got.
Right. Absolutely.
I'll just throw out one other thing. There's a girl that I used to work with and I care about, and she's had a rough time with in a kind of abusive relationship. But you know, this time of year sometimes raises a lot of I guess people can feel quite unhappy this time of year, unfortunately. But you know, my thoughts and everyone else's thoughts are kind of with these people, and I think, you know, it's a good time for community to come together when even like, you know, when family and friends aren't there for you or something like that. You know, there's always someone who's there and cares for you, and, you know, don't get depressed because your Christmas doesn't look like the McAllisters on Home Alone, you know.
Right.
No,
I mean, even they forgot their son, right?
I think actually perspective is the thing I'm most grateful for, and that is in large part thanks to Jim and to Primal Jim, is the sense of perspective. And what I say is, what I mean by that is the question of what matters and what doesn't. And, you know, people get really caught up in, I don't know, did they get the right stuff at the grocery store? Did they forget about buying something? Did they, you know, all these like day-to-day things. And so to me, the secret is what matters is not a lot, like health. And I know people think that that's just kind of, you know, a generic thing, but no, once it's taken away, you know, it's gone. So, I mean, you know, a life. So basically life, and that's about it. Also time, since time is a version of life. And so, you know, so that perspective, it kind of strips away at everything else and allows you to focus on what you love and the people you love.
I hope for everyone in 2018 that they can do something meaningful and make the world a better place rather than focusing on having this and that, you know, like getting a nicer watch or a faster car. Although I'd like both of those things.
When it all boils down to it. Wow.
I want to do something meaningful to get.
Oh, yeah, good luck with that. Sarcasm is anger's ugly friend. So anyway, wow, what a heart-wrenching show. I hope we didn't scare everyone off, but that was what I thought this was about, martial arts.
It's okay, you can punch me later.
Thank you. I look forward to punching you. So next week who knows what we're gonna have. We're gonna probably do a year review on MMA and boxing, and I'm gonna bring in my co-promoter Ofa Donaldson from NFF Promotions, and maybe someone from the WBF to talk about our promotion on January 20th of 2018 at Primal Gym. March 17th and 18th, we cannot forget the Primal European Camp. I posted something about it today. It's going to be fantastic. You need to contact Dieter Casey of the European Primal. You can find him on Facebook. He's out there. Just Google him. You can contact me. You can even contact Tom in the UK. So a lot of stuff coming up this year. I'm going to have 9 events at the gym, and we'll be all over the place doing seminars. You know, I just want to thank everyone who has listened to the show, and hopefully you continue to support it. Please, when you're listening to the show, though, you got to like it, you got to share it, because in our world of self-absorption, this all matters. You know, I could give a shit, but you have to hit that stupid little thumbs up because it seems to matter to some dipshit somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but that does matter. But guys, I want to thank you very much for being a part of the show, and it's great. And we will be back, hopefully, God willing, in 2018, which is next week, I guess. Because you have plans for New Year, Tom.
Yeah. We've kind of booked a table at a pub, which is about 10 of us going down.
It's called the Barstool. Don't they have your name on it like a plaque? Tom McGrath, yeah.
Nah, not around my way. It's not nice enough for that.
It's not nice.
One day they will.
One day. Tom McGrath's here. Well, I have
you guys. What are you doing for New Year's?
I'm doing not a thing.
Training.
I train every day. I train. Yeah. In some fashion. But anyway, hey guys, thank you so much. You're listening to Primal Radio. You can hear us Saturday nights, 9 p.m. UK, 9 p.m. New York time. And you can also hear us on Spreaker Radio, iHeartRadio, iTunes shortly, Sonos, YouTube, SoundCloud, Amazon Alexa. Great show, guys. Great 2017. Everyone have a safe and happy new year. Peace out.